Alrighty, Coach, thanks for hopping on. Just a reminder, just keep it to one question. We'll try to get as many question askers as we can. We'll start with Tim May from Letterman Row. Tim.
Hey, thank you very much, Mike. Hi, Coach. I was just wondering, this week, if you guys and Jim Knowles, if y'all had to, remind this defense that this is going to be the most potent offense they've faced so far this year. I think the highest rated right now in total offense is Toledo at like 65th of the guys y'all played so far. But, and you're playing against a veteran quarterback. This is a step up and maybe a challenge, or do you think they get it already?
No, I think they do, and they go against us every day, and we go against them every day. So we're competing every day in practice, and I think that's important. And how we compete against each other in practice really reflects how we play on Saturday. But I think, Jim brings up a good point. Like, we're not going to change, not going to all of a sudden do something different just because we're going into a difficult environment against a really good offense. But at the same time, we also have to go do our job and identify the things that they do well and the things that we need to do in order to be successful. And so we've done that. We've recognized that. And I think, we've had a good week of prep.
Thanks, man.
Yep.
All righty. We'll go next to Clay Hall. Clay, go ahead.
Hey, Ryan, right at the end of your radio show, you said something about the players know this is the kind of games that can change your life. Can you amplify that and maybe the feeling that they have going into a game like this?
Well, I think I mentioned this before. When you look at the schedule year in and year out, you want to know where Penn State is on the schedule. If you want to get to Indy, and when you look at the tradition and the games that have been played between Ohio State and Penn State, not only in the last decade but further back than that, some of the biggest games that we've had, and you think about some of the ones even like in 18 and 17. 16 on the road. There's been some huge games here, and that's one of the reasons why you come to Ohio State is to play in games like this. I think they recognize that. We talk about that in recruiting, and I think they have a feel for that. I've heard some guys talk about it this week.
All righty, we'll go next to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Ryan, any update on Jackson?
Yeah, so I'm not going to do any injury updates today. We'll do the availability report on Saturday, but just going to kind of stay away from all the injury updates at this point.
With someone like him, what is, I guess, the consideration to trying to get him back each week as opposed to taking a longer period of time off? How much runway, I guess, does someone like that need in order to be ready for those biggest games at the end of the year?
Yeah, that's it. And that's the conversation that's made on a daily basis and has been for weeks. But I leave it up to the doctors and the professionals in that area. I certainly don't know a lot about the ins and outs of all of what you're talking about. And so that's why we have such a great crew here.
All righty, let's go next to Dan Hope, 11 Warriors.
Ryan, you guys on kickoffs, less than half the kickoffs have been touchbacks. Are you satisfied with your performance in kickoff so far this year? Or is that an area where you're looking for improvement?
It's better than it was. And so we've seen progress. So when we looked at the first 6 games there during the bye week, we certainly, there was improvement there from a year ago. But certainly want to see more and more. I think that there's a fine line between just putting it in the back of the end zone where the opposing team starts the 25. Where some of the other ones that we've had where we cover them, that ball's tackled inside the 20-yard line, sometimes in closer to the 15-yard line, and that's a whole first down, and that's a big deal. So the ability to do both is important, and we're still looking to get better in that area as well.
All righty, next up, Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Right, you kind of mentioned on the radio show that Kyle had come in for CJ and worked with the ones a couple of times this year when CJ had a day off. Was that this year? And then how often is that happening during the season where maybe you're giving CJ just a day off just to rest whatever he's doing?
Just during the bye week, something we've done in the past. And just let Kyle get some work with the ones that day, and thought he did a nice job stepping in and running the offense. So that was good. Don't really do it very often. CJ's, really had a great week of practice and does a really good job of practicing. And that's a big part of why you're seeing the production on Saturday. But as the backup quarterback, you don't get as many reps. So you have to get a lot of mental reps in the back and go through the play in your mind. And The only way to get to competitive excellence is physical reps and mental reps. And when you're the backup, you have to do more of the mental reps.
Alrighty, next we'll go to Austin Ward from Rivals. Austin.
Ryan, with what Jackson's been dealing with, and I don't know the severity for Jaden, the way that he walked off the field last week, how close are any of the true freshman receivers to being game ready in your mind, or who's maybe nearing a chance to help you all?
They're getting better every week. You're seeing a couple of guys get involved with special teams. Kojo a little bit running down on punt, and they're growing. They're just putting one foot in front of the other, getting better, learning from the older guys. And it'd be nice to start to see some of those guys come on. I think they're working at it. They're practicing. They have a good attitude, and we'll see over the next couple of weeks if we can start getting some of these guys out in the field more and more.
All right, let's go next to Bill Landis from Rivals.
Ryan, when there's a breakdown like what happened with Donovan on the strip sack last week, how do you all handle that on the sideline, and how do you think that he bounced back from that? I know sometimes linemen make mistakes and maybe you don't notice, and other times they show up in a major way like that one did. So how do you feel like he handled that?
Well, I mean, it's everyone, makes mistakes, and not that they're acceptable, but we see things in practice that, we know what guys are capable of, and we know when if there's a mistake that can't be fixed or can be fixed. And that one, was fixed. And so, we certainly aren't happy about it. We try to identify why it happened. But, Donovan Jackson and Paris and everybody in the offensive line, it doesn't matter who it is. I mean, nobody's trying harder than they are. So they're going to have good plays and bad plays, but, we just try to rally it on the sideline, identify why it happened, and make sure it doesn't happen again.
All right, let's go next to Joey Kaufman, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, the way JT Tuimoloau came up in high school and developed as a player seems interesting. He played a lot of basketball in addition to football, didn't weightlift until he was much older, in favor of a lot of conditioning work. Just curious, from having watched him now for a year and change, how you think maybe that's affected his skill set and that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I think guys who play multiple sports, it's a big deal. And, I think, he's a great example of that. His spatial awareness, his hands, all of the above. And I think you see that with Jack, and you see that with JT as well. They're both really good basketball players. I think his family did a really good job of building a really well-rounded young man. And JT continues to impress and make plays, and you're starting to see him really come on here. And hopefully he's got his best football ahead of him here at the end of October and into November.
All right, let's go next to Cameron Teague from The Athletic.
Ryan, when you're playing a defense like Penn State with corners who, and just entire secondary that's so long, and athletic, as a quarterback, what do you need to focus on, knowing knowing that Penn State can close down windows really, really quickly in the secondary?
Yeah, they're very good. They do a great job of getting their hands on you, and so we've got to do a good job at the line of scrimmage. And we're not going to change what we do, but at the same time, they're very talented, and so the challenge is on to certainly in protection to buy ourselves a little bit more time to get open, but for receivers to get open and be physical at the top of routes and wiggle and shake, and they don't just always play man either; they play zone as well. And when you have length like that, you can cloud the windows. So we're going to do what we do, but at the same time know that this is going to be a really good defense and really good DBs that we're going to be going up against.
All right, I got time for two more. First, we'll go to Tony Gerdeman, Buckeye Huddle.
Ryan, I guess along with availability, maybe what has Julian Fleming done to allow himself to be a downfield threat this year compared to past years?
Like you said, he's been healthy, and he has really taken care of his body. He's got strong. He's powerful. He's good underneath because he can play big and physical. He helps in a run game, but then you can see him as a deep threat as well. And when you're big and strong and physical, and sometimes even when you're covered, you're open because you're so big and strong. Just like we talked about with the DBs at Penn State and their length, we do have some pretty good size out there as well at receiver. But I just see it's overall approach. It's his offseason that he had. It's his leadership that we're seeing. Spoke to the team last week, and all of that is starting to come into play. And he's had a different journey, but now you're seeing the best version of Julian. And I know going back to Penn State is going to be important for him.
And we'll wrap it up with Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Ryan, one more about Donovan Jackson. He did take responsibility for what happened. He's the new guy on the line. I assume you think he's played well. Can you just kind of give an assessment of how he's played this year?
Very talented, really good, very conscientious, great preparation. I think Donovan Jackson's going to be a star. And not just his talent level, it's his approach, it's his discipline, it's his skill level. He's got a really bright future ahead of him in this game.
Thank you.
All righty, Coach. Thank you so much for your time. We'll talk to you Saturday.
Okay, guys, thanks.